So good evening. Thank you so much for joining me. To those of you who may not have been here before, my name is Latoya and I am the founder of High Heels and Hustle. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we are looking at business ideas. And by business ideas, I mean helping you to get started on your business journey. And I know that some of you have already made a start on your business journey. You already have a business idea. You may even already have a business. That's absolutely fine. We're going to look at ways that you could possibly scale your business as well. But in today's video, I will be giving some tips to those of you who don't have a business idea, but also, as I say, if you do have a business idea, this is still the place for you because we will be giving you some ways that you can scale and grow your business. Okay, so we have Ver joining us from the UK. So good evening, good afternoon, good morning to you. It's lovely to have you with us today. Anyone else who's joined us, please comment in the chat box. We just love to know where our viewers are watching us from. We have on our Facebook page, we have over 600 women now from more than 45 different countries. So I just think that's absolutely amazing. And people have been asking, why have we chosen to go live on YouTube? The reason we're going live on YouTube is because we have over 600 women on our Facebook page, over 200 on our Instagram page. And then we also have clients that we work with who do not have a social media account. So we just felt that YouTube was common ground because you don't need a YouTube account in order to access this video. And if you choose not to be on social media, again, you can access YouTube without having to be on Facebook or Instagram. So that's why we have decided to host it on YouTube. We also have Natasha from MK. Good evening to you, Natasha. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Okay, so we are going to make a start talking about business ideas. And I'm really excited about today's video because I remember when I knew that I wanted to start a business, I just had no idea where to start, what could I possibly create that hadn't been created before? What business idea would be perfect for me? So I remember my journey all those years ago, and to see where I am now, for me personally, I just recognize that sometimes your first business idea is not going to be the one that's your golden ticket, your permanent, your forever business. It could just be a stepping stone, and that's okay. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later in today's video. So if you do have any questions as we go along, please comment in the chat box. I am reading them as we go through, and I will answer as many of the questions as I possibly can as we go through today's video. Okay, so for those of you who may have missed last week's video, I'll just give you a very brief synopsis of who I am and why we're here, basically. So my name is Latoya. I live in the UK, if you can't tell by my accent, and I started High Heels and Hustle. It was really an idea that I had in 2018, but I didn't actually launch it until this year. And the reason I wanted to launch High Heels and Hustle is because I began to hear the same old story from friends, family, colleagues. People were going to work with no passion. It was just about paying the bills. And I decided I didn't want that to be my life. And so I started a business. Well, I joined a business more than 10 years ago. That lasted a few months. I realized it wasn't for me. And it wasn't until years later that I really began to find my groove and launch out to do my own thing. So at the moment, I run 4 businesses. I have a wedding and events business. I have a personal gift shopping service. I also have a clothing line, and I have a social media agency. And I have started all 4 of those businesses without having any money up front. As I went along my business journey, I did begin to invest in those businesses, but I didn't need any money to get any of those businesses started. So I really want to help you on your journey to understand that sometimes the things that we think are stopping us from making our goals and dreams a reality, the things we think are stopping us from being amazing business women, are more than likely not actually stopping us at all. So we're going to go through, and I'm going to give you some categories of business ideas, and I'll give you some examples as we go through. But I have created a free guide that you'll be able to download after this live video. I'll put a link in the description if you're watching this on the replay. And if you're watching this live, I'll put a link for you guys to be able to download this PDF. But it basically goes in a lot more detail, giving you examples of some of the things that we are going to be talking about this evening. So I have 5 categories for you to begin with, and we'll talk through all of those 5 categories. And then I'm also going to give you some tips and some pointers as to how you can find your perfect business idea, because perhaps the ones that I'll be mentioning in the 5, they may not quite be for you, and you're still looking for something that you want to find, that one thing that's just for you right now. So I'll be giving you some tips of how you can brainstorm and figure out what you are supposed to be doing right now. So the first one we'll talk about is drop shipping. Now, I find that drop shipping has a bit of a bad rap. It's almost like network marketing. People feel like it's some kind of pyramid scheme, and it's really not. So drop shipping would make you essentially the middle person in a business transaction. So the way that drop shipping works is, if you imagine I have a warehouse of some sort selling everything you could possibly think of, and you want to become a seller of the things that I am storing. You would be the middle person between me, the warehouse, and the end user, the customer. So this is one of those businesses that you can start with absolutely no money, particularly if you are on social media such as Facebook, Instagram, because you can market to your nearest and dearest. You can market to your friends and your family who you already have access to on your platforms. You don't need a website. Or if you wanted to create a landing page or something like that, which would be a web page, again, you don't actually need your own website to be able to do that. So the way that that could work is, for example, as I said, if I was somebody who owned a warehouse that sold everything you could imagine, and you wanted to promote fitness, something in the fitness industry, the way that that could work is, we're in quarantine right now, and I'm sure, like me, you've seen and heard people saying how much they've gained weight in the last couple of weeks, last couple of months because of quarantine. This is a perfect opportunity to start promoting products that are within the fitness industry. So how that could work if you were a drop shipper is that you would find a company, like if I was the warehouse, you would find a company that is selling or promoting fitness products. Now, what I will say upfront with drop shipping, please, integrity is very important. Whatever business you do, integrity and honesty is very important. So do not promote a product saying that you have tried and tested this product and it's amazing if you haven't tried and tested the product, okay? There are other ways of being able to market and promote, but please make sure you're always honest and maintain your integrity in business. So the way that this could work is, if you had tried a fitness DVD, for example, and saw amazing results, you would then be able to post on your social media, for example, and say, guys, we're in quarantine. I don't know about you, but I gained X amount of pounds in the last couple of weeks. I tried this DVD. It's been absolutely amazing. I've lost X amount of pounds. I recommend that you try this DVD. And you would put a link to that product, which would link the customer, your friends, your family, or whoever gets access to that link. It would then link them to the warehouse or to the person that's actually selling the product. And you would then make a commission. So that's one example of drop shipping. Of course, you can do drop shipping for so many different products, different niches. There's so many options available. That's definitely something that I would look into. Whatever your passion is, whatever you're interested in, there's definitely going to be something where you will be able to become a drop shipper if that's what you decide to do. The second one is print on demand. And I have deliberately worn this t-shirt tonight, not because I'm trying to promote my clothing line, but just as an example of what you can do when it comes to print on demand. So how I started my clothing line was, it is a print on demand service. So print on demand is amazing if you do not want to hold stock in your house, in your garage, or wherever it is. And that's the same with drop shipping. Another perk of drop shipping is that you don't have to hold the stock. So if you decide that you want to sell iPads online, for example, I mean, most of us don't want to have 500 iPads lying around our house, not to mention that would be very expensive to purchase that many iPads in the hope that somebody is going to come along and buy them. So with drop shipping, the other benefit is that you don't have to hold any of the stock. As I said, you are literally that middle person connecting the warehouse or the seller to the end user, the customer, and all you do is market and promote in between. So print on demand is a similar type of business, in that with my clothing line, I don't hold the stock in my house. I don't have my own warehouse where I hold the stock. I literally promote my clothing line. People order that clothing line and it is distributed from my warehouse. So I don't have to physically do the printing. Again, I am acting as that middle person. What I will say though is with my clothing line, I do my designs myself. So that's my input in that process. But as far as holding the stock and as far as actually sending out all the products and that type of thing, I have relieved myself of that of those responsibilities, and I have a warehouse and a system that actually does that on my behalf. So print on demand is an amazing way to start earning money online for free. You don't need a website. There's so many different print on demand services that you can sign up for. Teesprings is a very popular one. There's Printful. There's so many different print on demand services nowadays. And it doesn't have to be t-shirts. In my clothing line, we have mugs, we have tote bags, we have babies' clothes. Like there's so many different things that you can sell through print on demand. You can have notepads, notebooks, pens, so many different things. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. So if print on demand is something that you're interested in, I would definitely recommend checking out some of those websites that I've mentioned because they are free. So print on demand is definitely a great way to start a business with no money and also to get yourself into the business world. The third option is social media management. Now, with this one, I would say you've got to have some kind of experience with social media. Please don't go out and start promoting services when you have no idea what you're doing, because people are going to expect you to deliver results. Okay, so if you have no experience with social media, you can take your time to get that experience. People will pay for services such as creating a Facebook business page. People will pay you if they have, so for example, I work with restaurants. In the restaurant niche, we promote their services and they don't have time to manage their social media accounts. If you are on Facebook or Instagram, you know you have got to be constantly on these platforms so that the algorithm will favor your posts and show it to more people. You cannot afford to run a business and post to social media once a week, twice a week. It just is not going to help your business at all. So, for example, the restaurant industry, they're very busy. They are running a very busy business. Even in this current climate, even though they cannot have people seated in the restaurants, they're still doing takeaways and deliveries, so they still need our services. So people will pay you for things that they don't have time to do. Not necessarily that they don't know how to do it, they just don't have time when they're running a very busy business. So social media management is one of the ways that you can start a business with no money. You don't necessarily need a website. You just need to be able to show people, one, that you know what you're doing and that you've got results from previous customers. So you're probably thinking, well, what if I have no previous customers? This is going to be my first business that I'm doing. You can contact friends, family, anybody that you know that you can work with for free. Perhaps you could work with them for a month, 2, 3 months, whatever negotiation you want to do, just to give you that experience so that by the time you go out to promote your services, you already have some experience. So social media management is one of those things that I don't think is going to disappear anytime soon. In fact, we have actually seen an increase because a lot of people are moving from their brick and mortar services to online services because of the current global pandemic. So this is a great opportunity. It's a great time to get into social media management because people definitely need your services. And if you think about those clients or potential clients who've had to move from a brick and mortar business to an online service, they probably have no idea what they're doing if they've never had to do this before. So you would be the answer to that problem. So that's definitely one of the things I would say look into doing if you know how to get results on social media. So that's number 3. Number 4 is teaching. Now, you don't have to have a qualification for teaching. There are so many different websites that will allow you to even teach English to people who don't speak English as a first language. And I often say to people, write down your skills. What are you skilled at? Because people will pay you for some of the things that you take for granted. You can be paid if you speak very well English. You will be paid for teaching others how to speak English. You could be paid for teaching people how to do certain subjects that you're good at. So if you're good at maths, English, history, you know, you can promote your services. Now, you might be thinking, but I don't have a degree. I don't have a qualification in those things. As I said in the beginning of this video, Integrity and honesty is so important when it comes to business. Tell people upfront, this is where I am. I don't have a degree, but this is the experience that I have. I don't have a qualification, but this is what I can do for you. We can do a 2-month trial, we can do a 3-month trial, see how it goes. There's so many different ways of negotiating. But as I said before, with the social media management, if you have some kind of experience where you've gained results, then you can use that as well to say, these are the results that I gained from when I taught so and so. So you just want to try and build up your experience, and that doesn't necessarily have to take long. You just have to be intentional about it. So even with teaching, you can teach people how to cook, you can teach people gardening skills. People are selling courses teaching people how to do gardening. There's so much that you can do if you just think a little bit outside of the box. What am I good at? What skills do I have that other people may not have, because it just comes naturally to me? Are you good at singing? Are you good at playing an instrument? There's so many different things that you can do to teach other people. And then the fifth one that I would say is what I call a made-to-order service. So at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that I have a wedding and events business. That's what I would call a made-to-order service, because one of the things that we do, one of our most popular services, is wedding invitations. Now, if I create a wedding invitation for, I don't know, Sarah and David, who are getting married on the 20th of September 2020, and I create these invitations, I find out their color scheme, I find out exactly what they want inside their invitation, and I spend my time creating this perfect invitation for their beautiful wedding day. And we get down the line and they say, actually, we miscalculated our budget and we don't have the money to pay you now. Not only have I lost time, but I've also lost resources, and that's coming from me. The clients, unfortunately, would just be able to go off and find somebody else if they wanted to, unfortunately for me, but I would not actually get anything for the time, the effort, and the resources that I've had to spend for. So what I do with that service is I take money up front. And that's one of the things that I would recommend doing if it fits your business. So these are what I would call a made-to-order service. But in doing that, it also means that you're not spending any money out of your pocket. So again, this is a business where you do not need any money to start your business, because you will be paid before you do the work. So you can use the money that you've been paid to pay for the resources and the supplies that you need to deliver the product or service to your customer. So again, you started your business with no money, and you're doing something where you get to deliver the results, but you've been paid for the results before they're delivered. Now, what I would say as a disclaimer, again, back to honesty and integrity, please deliver excellent results with these types of things, because especially if people are paying you for a service, and if they're paying you upfront, you definitely want to make sure that you keep your reputation and you deliver an excellent service. To be honest, with my wedding and events business, I don't even promote that business anymore. It is literally now word of mouth through people that I've helped before. They now recommend my services. So that's where you want to get to, the place where you have to do less marketing, and actually people are now coming to you. People are in search of your services. So they are the 5, what I would call umbrellas of business ideas that we're going to share with you today. And I'm just going to run over those quickly, just a quick recap. So we've had drop shipping, which means that you are effectively that middle person between the person selling the product and the person buying the product. Again, you don't need any money and you don't need a website for that service. Print on demand. Similar type of situation. You don't need money to get it started. You don't need a website. And you, again, are acting in some ways as the middle person. Social media management, that's another one. But as I said, I would recommend getting some results before you start this, just so that you know what you're doing. And when people start paying you for these services, you can actually deliver the results that they're paying you for. Teaching, if you're skilled at something, if you've got a particular passion that you know how to teach others, teaching is a great one. You can teach people anytime, anything that you're good at. People are willing to pay you to learn what they don't know. And the 5th and final one that we spoke about was made-to-order services. And I call it made-to-order service because you are taking the money, and that money is what you're using to be able to deliver the service. So it's made-to-order because it's specific for that client. You don't have resources stocked up that you're just going to ship out. You are actually making this product or this service tailored to your specific customer. So if we have any questions, please do put them in the chat box. We have a question just here, one moment. Where would you advise your skills for teaching a skill? So I'm not sure what that means. Where would you advertise? Sorry, where would you advertise your skills for teaching a skill? So there's so many different places where you can advertise your skills. Social media is a great one. I wouldn't recommend relying only on social media though, but there are websites like Fiverr.com. If you've heard of Fiverr.com, you can use that. There are websites, so I mentioned the services where you get to teach people in another country how to speak English. You can just Google that, how to teach English as a foreign language, and so many different websites will come up. So you can search for websites, effectively directories where you can promote your services if you want to get into teaching. That's one of the ways that I would recommend doing it if you want to start off without having to start up a business. But one of the best ways of promoting any type of new business, I would say, is to have a Facebook page. So some of you on this video today, you're here because of our Facebook page. We promote on our Facebook page. We tell you what it's all about. So having a Facebook page for your teaching is a great way, because you would be able to show people your results. You can have pictures of your results. Maybe if you're teaching children how to speak, how to do maths, for example, you could have a Facebook page showing the results. Obviously, do get permission if you are taking pictures of the children. But a Facebook page is a great way of promoting your services, because if you get any inquiries and you don't have a website, you can say to people, check out my Facebook page, Natasha Teaches Maths or Natasha Teaches Baking, something like that. So if you have that Facebook page, that's a great way, because it effectively acts as a website without you having to pay all the associated fees with having a website. So hopefully that answers your question. So now I'm going to move on to how to find a business idea, because maybe the ideas that I've given to you are not really something that you're like, yeah, that's it, that's the golden ticket for me. Maybe you're still looking for something a little bit more. So there's ways that you can brainstorm so that you can know how do I find my perfect business idea? And as I said in the beginning, for me personally, the business I started about 12 years ago, or the business I signed up to, I realized very quickly that wasn't the business opportunity for me. But what it did is it opened my mind, it opened my horizons to realize one day I want to start my own business. So if you start a business today, it may not be the same business that you're running in 5, 10, 20 years time, but you will learn so much from everything that you try. Every business that you step out and do, you will learn so much, as long as you are willing to take the lessons. I've made a lot of mistakes on my business journey, but all of those mistakes, I've used them in a positive way to get me to where I am today, sitting here talking to you amazing ladies on this video. You're very welcome, Natasha. Okay, so how do you find a business idea? So think about your skills. And I often say to my clients, don't underestimate your skills. People will pay you for things that you think are just so simple. So for example, I would say I'm intermediate when it comes to Excel, okay? But I know people who have, it's like they just get it. They just get it. For some of us, it takes us a little while with some of these things. But if you're skilled in those types of areas, people will pay you to do work in Excel for them. And to you, you might think, but I use Excel every day. To me, it's not a big thing. But for somebody who doesn't know how to do it, doesn't have the time or patience to learn it, they would be willing to pay you for their services. And it's like being a virtual assistant. And this is something that I'm talking to some of my clients about now as well. Becoming a virtual assistant. I was speaking to one particular client, and she said, "But I've never been an assistant before. I've never been a virtual assistant." I said, "First of all, you are a mum, okay? Being a mum, you are one of the most organized people in the world. You have to make sure your children are at the right rehearsals at the right time. You have to make sure the uniforms are ironed. You have to make sure their timetables are good. You have to make sure doctor's appointments are booked and they're there on time. Dentist appointments." Food shopping, your writing list, like there's so much that you do in your everyday life that you have gained skills that I think just become second nature, that you actually don't realize I could take these skills and I could use them in a business. So that's one of the things that I would definitely recommend. Having a look at the skills that you've got, write them down. If you were going for a job interview and you were preparing your CV, what skills would you put in that skills section? You can use those skills in a business. Okay, so I spoke about Excel. I'm not necessarily good at certain things within Excel, pivot tables and all of that. Okay, but for one of my sisters is absolutely amazing at things like that. She just gets it, you know. Somebody would pay you just to be able to do that. Even things like putting together a presentation that's witty and that has all the animations and things like that. You know how to do that maybe at the drop of a hat. Somebody else, it would take them a whole day just to put together a 5-slide presentation. If you're skilled at that, that's one of the things that could help you to become a virtual assistant. And this is what I was saying, it's not necessarily that people don't know how to do it, but people don't have the time and would rather outsource these tasks to somebody else who can do it quickly so that they can get on with running their business. So that's another thing that I want you to look at. Look at your skills, what can you offer to somebody else who may not have those skills? Google Docs is another one. Some people may not have had the time or been interested in learning how to use some of the features that Google now promotes. If you already know how to do that, again, you can sell that as a service because people will pay you just to do that for them. So skills is a really, really good one. Do write down a list of your skills, have a look at those skills, and then see, can any of these skills be an answer to somebody else's problem? And I am sure some of the answers to those skills will definitely be, yes, this could solve somebody else's problem. And you can begin to tailor your business ideas around those skills that you've already got. The second thing that I would look at is your passions. And I say passions because I think for me personally, the things that I'm doing now are the things that I'm passionate about. I spoke last week about the reason that I created this High Heels and Hustle community, because I'm passionate about seeing women reaching their goals and their dreams and making those goals and dreams a reality. I'm passionate about seeing women succeed. And maybe it's because of my own personal history. Like I said, I've made some mistakes. There've been some failures along the way. We all fail at something. As long as you are more than 2 years old, you have failed at something at some point in your life. Forget about it, okay? Forget it, learn the mistakes, move forward, on to the next, okay? So looking at your passions, one of my passions is that I love to help people. And one of the ways that I'm doing that is on this platform right here, is on my Facebook page, is on my Instagram page, helping people, sharing the knowledge and experience that I have, sharing my mistakes, my failures, my successes, all of those types of things with the aim of helping other people. So if you have a passion for helping people, not necessarily saying that you have to do this, but your passion could be helping the elderly. Could you create something that enables you to help the elderly? That when we are in a position where we can gather together, obviously we're in quarantine right now, but when we are in a position where we can gather together, there are groups that teach the elderly how to use computers, that teach the elderly how to do certain things that maybe they didn't learn at school, or they don't necessarily know how to go online, go on Google and find the answers. So if your passion is helping the elderly, okay, what can you do to help you to help the elderly? So these are just some of the ways that you can think a little bit outside of the box about your passions and how you can turn your passions into a business. Because if you're not passionate about your business, it probably won't last very long. Because I'm telling you, people think when you're an entrepreneur, life is easy and you don't have to work hard. No, no. You probably work harder. There are times I have been up at 4 a.m. I've heard the birds singing outside before I even go to bed, because I'm working hard on my dreams, my visions, and my goals. So for a season, you will have to work hard. You will have to put the effort in. But at the end of the day, if you're passionate about it, you don't mind doing it. I don't stay up till 4 a.m. Every day of the week or for long periods of time. But if I'm working on a project that has to be delivered and I've got a deadline, I don't mind staying up late because I'm passionate about what I'm doing. And that passion fuels you to keep going. So find out what your passions are and begin to tailor your business ideas around your passions, because that's what will keep you going when the tough days get really tough. Okay, so we've got skills and passion. The next thing I would say is looking at your interests. Now, sometimes your interests and your passions can cross over, but when I say interest, I'm talking about things like maybe you're interested in politics, maybe you're interested in fashion. These are some of the things that you can, again, tailor and consider. How can I create a business around my interests? So if you're interested in fashion, that's a great example. I posted a video on this channel recently talking about how to find your niche. And one of the examples I gave is that if you are somebody who creates designs, clothes I'm talking about now, if you create designs, you might think you're not solving a problem. You definitely are solving a problem. Because one of the things that I do is if I have a special occasion, a wedding, a party, my birthday, I don't want to turn up to a party, a wedding, church, and find somebody wearing the same dress, the same skirt. Like, ladies, we know how that feels, okay? That's not a good look. So I will pay somebody to make a design for me. I will go out and I'll get the material and the design that I want, and they will make that fitted to me. And I know wherever I'm going, nobody is going to be wearing the exact same outfit as me. So that's one of the things. If your interest is fashion, find a way that you can incorporate that in your business. If you're interested in fashion, but you don't have the skills to necessarily make clothes, could you partner with somebody else who does have that skill to be able to make clothes, and the two of you can come together? Maybe you're good at designing and somebody else is good at actually sewing the material and putting everything together. You can form partnerships for certain businesses. There's so many different ways. Or you could start writing a fashion blog. There's so many different ways to make sure that your interests form a part of your business. As I said, if we do have questions as we're going along, put them in the chat box. I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. And the other thing that I would consider when you're looking at your business idea is your unique selling points. This, for me, I would say is really top of the list, because what makes you unique? At the end of the day, if we're thinking of creating a food product, for example, if you want to start a home delivery business, we're in quarantine, and I've seen so many people launching businesses on Facebook where they're cooking and they're delivering it to people, which I just think is amazing. But what's your unique selling point? What makes you different to the other person that's selling this food product? What's going to make me choose you over the other person? If you want to start a YouTube channel, a podcast, a blog, whatever you want to do, what's going to make you stand out from all the others in the competition with you? But that's not to say that the market is so oversaturated that there's no room for you. That is not true, because, okay, this is probably a really bad example, but it's the first one that came to my mind. We have here in the UK, SFC, Southern Fried Chicken, okay? We all know KFC, been around for many, many moons before I was even a thought in my parents' mind, I'm sure. But if SFC thought, you know what, KFC is already, they're already up there, there's just no place for us, they wouldn't have bothered starting their business. But they are making money. They are branching out within the UK. I don't know if they're global, but within the UK anyway, they are branching out. Majority of towns will now have an SFC. It was a saturated market, but they still went in, they still did what they needed to do, and they have a client base, okay? So sometimes don't be put off by the fact that other people are already doing it. Like I said in the video last week, there is room at the table for every single one of us. We just have to find our rightful place at that table. So consider your unique selling points, and your unique selling points can be educational qualifications, but they don't have to be. They can be life experiences. So, or they can be your culture, for example. So if I spoke earlier about the food industry and how people are starting these, almost like pop-up food delivery services. Well, if your culture plays a part in the food that you're preparing, that is a unique selling point. So if you are preparing food from the Caribbean, but your background is actually, you're from somewhere in Europe, perhaps, that authenticity might not necessarily be there. When you're talking about your branding story, when you're starting to write things about your brand, you won't have the edge that somebody who is from the Caribbean will have, because they will have the story of how perhaps they grew up seeing their grandmother cooking this recipe. It's something that their grandmother created and has been in the family for 100 years. So many different things play a part. So our culture sometimes can be a unique selling point. So again, I would just say, write down your unique selling points. And this can be quite difficult. It's like when you go to an interview and they say, tell me about yourself. You know yourself, but that question just throws you off, because you're like, okay, I don't want to sound like I'm bigging myself up. Well, when it comes to business, you've got to big yourself up, okay? Think about your unique selling points. What makes you stand out? What makes somebody want to choose you over your competitor, you over the next person? And if, you might not be selling your product or your service in a shop, but sometimes I'm a visual learner. So if you imagine your product side by side with your competitor, what is going to make me as a customer choose your product over your competitor's product? What can you do? It can be colors. There's so many different things that you can think about as far as a unique selling point for your brand. But when we're talking about unique selling points as far as you as a person, think about your unique selling points. What do you have to bring to the table? What do you have to offer that's unique and that's going to make you stand out? Because a lot of people nowadays, they have actually become the face of their brand. I find that now, especially on sites like Instagram, People are the face of their brand. So when somebody sees you, they want to get to know you. What makes you so unique that they should choose you? So they are the four things that I would say if you are going to brainstorm your business ideas, have a think about your skills, your passions, your interests, and your unique selling points. And definitely go big on the unique selling points, because that is something that I definitely think will help you to really understand where you fit in the marketplace, to understand what your marketing strategy needs to look like because of your unique selling points. Okay, so again, if we do have any questions, I'm conscious I've been talking for a little while now, please feel free to ask and I will answer as we go along. Okay, so when you are brainstorming for your business idea, I would just encourage you to ask yourself some questions. And as I said, we have created a free PDF that you can download that will go into these things in a lot more detail. We have made sure it's jam-packed with ideas and how to get to your business idea. So make sure you download that. It's free. So use it if you think it will be helpful. But I want you to ask yourself some questions. What problem do the above things that we've spoken about solve? Okay, so we've spoken about your skills, your passion, your interest, and your unique selling points. What problem do those things solve? And that will help you to create your business idea. I very often say, if you're not solving a problem, you do not have a successful business. No one is just going to come along and give you their money because they don't have anything else to do. People are looking for a product or a service to solve a problem. And like I gave the example earlier, sometimes people feel like, well, I'm only making clothes, I'm not solving a problem. Well, when I'm going to a wedding and I don't want to turn up looking like somebody else, that's a problem. Okay, so are we coming to somebody who's going to make me something unique, and you will be there to solve my problem if you have a clothing business. If you make cakes, again, same situation. If I have a party, if I have a wedding that needs a cake, something like that, I will be coming to you to solve that problem with your cake business. So have a think about what problem your skills, your passions, your interests, and your unique selling points are solving. And that will definitely point you in the right direction for what your business idea should be. Another thing that I want you to ask yourself is, whose problem are you solving? Because if you want to create a business that's tailored to children, for example, you want to make sure that your skills, your passions, your interests, your unique selling points are leading you in that direction. So identifying whose problem you're solving really helps you to niche down your business idea and to point you really in the right direction. So I gave children as an example. Are you solving a problem for a child? Are you solving a problem for a parent? There are people who are offering products and services for parents, especially now that we're in quarantine and so many parents have had to learn how to teach their children and they're struggling. Is your product or service tailored to parents? Is it tailored to teenagers? You can really niche this down. Is it tailored to, you could be doing a business as business to business. Is your product or service tailored to the restaurant industry? Is it tailored to the fashion industry? So just have a think about not only what problem you're solving, but whose problem you're solving. And that will help you to pinpoint the business ideas that you should be going for. And also, so I mentioned this briefly earlier, your first business idea is more than likely not going to be your first and only business idea. So could you start something that's more of a stepping stone towards reaching that really that business idea that you're really passionate about? So if you want to start something, for example, if you want to start a nursery one day, you need money to do that. That's not something, unfortunately, that you can start without money. You need money, you need qualifications, you need certain checks from the government. There's so much that goes into starting a nursery. But your stepping stone to getting to having your own nursery could be, like I spoke about earlier, teaching online, setting up a Facebook page so that people know where to come for your resources, creating a website where you can give downloads and things like that people can access to teach them a particular skill or a particular subject. That's a stepping stone. That's a free way of starting your business. You know what the dream is? The dream is probably up here right now, and maybe your first thing is up here, but it's just a stepping stone. And I think sometimes we hold ourselves back from actually starting a business because we realize and we think, oh, the dream is up here. I'm not there yet. I can't quite get there. But there's nothing wrong with taking smaller steps to get to your dream. So have a look at what stepping stones could look like. Because maybe some of the ideas I've given you today is, it's not really your passion. It's not really the thing that you want to do, but could they be a stepping stone to getting you to where you want to get to? That's definitely something that I would consider. And finally, we're going to talk about scaling your business. So I'm going to go back to the teaching industry, just because that's fresh in my mind right now. So when we're talking about scaling your business, the idea behind that is that you start with one thing, but you know that eventually you're going to expand, you're going to grow that business. So if we look at teaching, for example, if you start off with that Facebook page where you're teaching children how to learn about history, for example, okay? So you're teaching children on this platform and you're giving them your knowledge, your experience, you're giving them different resources. Eventually, possibly a plan for a year or two down the line, you could create a subscription service where parents could sign up to your website and they can download materials that will help their children. And eventually you could have an online school, for example, on your website where people will sign up and they'll pay X amount of pounds a month, and they will have access to these types of resources that will help them with learning history, that will help them with learning cooking, whatever it is that you're teaching. That's what scaling your business looks like. So you're starting with one thing, making sure that you nail that thing, that you get that thing so right that you can then begin to expand and step up. So again, if I can just give you another example, if you're doing something within the food industry, if you're making cakes for parties and weddings, that's a great start. But eventually you could look at maybe tailoring that to businesses when they have their conferences, or if they have Christmas parties and things like that. So you started with a business that was you selling to a person, and now you're actually expanding your business because now you want to sell to businesses. So of course there's more money in that, and as well you want that word of mouth. You want to be able to start getting recommendations. You want to start getting testimonials. If you work for a company like I don't know, Tesco, for example, and you have the opportunity to supply for their end of year Christmas party, that's a great testimonial to have on your list. To have on your website that you worked with this brand, you worked with that brand. So that's what scaling your business could look like. So if you already have a business, I want you to now start thinking about ideas that will help you to scale that business. Don't get lazy, don't get tired, begin to expand your business. And I spoke earlier also about partnering with somebody else. So if expanding your business means that you've got to partner with somebody else, that's okay. That's something that I would definitely recommend doing, because let's face it, we don't know everything, okay? And what you're good at might not be what I'm good at. But if we can come together on some things and begin to create things together, not only do we expand our client base because you have your following and your customers, I have my following and my customers. Now we're merging our audiences together. So we're now both being exposed to larger audiences, which already in itself is going to bring more traction for your business. But that's just one of the ways that another way that you can scale your business, by partnering with somebody else, looking how you can expand your business, trying to think of ways that you could grow, setting yourself goals. By the end of 2020, this is where I want my business to be. By the end of 2021, I'm going to take some of these steps, and this is where I want my business to be. And in 5 years' time, maybe I can have that nursery, maybe I can have that restaurant that I want to create one day, that started from me preparing meals and delivering them during quarantine. There's so many different ways that we can do this. So that's really all that I wanted to cover in this video. If anyone else has any questions, I'm just going to do a quick recap of what we spoke about. So if you have any questions, now is the time to put them in the chat box so that I can answer those before we log off. But thank you for sticking with me. I really do appreciate it. So we spoke about business ideas under umbrellas. So we spoke about drop shipping, we spoke about print on demand, social media management, teaching, and made to order services. So if you're watching this live, you can catch those in the replay because I did go into a lot of detail on those. If those are not the business ideas for you and you want to find your own thing, how to find a business idea is to write down your skills, your passions, your interests, and your unique selling points, and major in on those unique selling points, because you are unique. I can't do what you do like you do it, and you can't do what I do like I do it. And that's what makes us so amazing. And finally, ask yourself these questions when you're thinking of your business idea. What problem do I solve? Whose problem am I solving? Is this business idea a stepping stone to something greater? And if it is, what does that journey look like? I'm starting here in 2020. When do I want to get to that real big dream that I have? Map it out, put your goals in place, and begin to work towards those goals and dreams. And finally, what does scaling your business look like? Do you need to partner with somebody else? Do you need to find that next stepping stone so that you can begin to expand? Do you need to now start thinking about who you're targeting? Perhaps before you were targeting people in your community, can you now go national, eventually go global? These are some of the ways that you can look at scaling your business. So we've covered a lot in today's session. I really hope that you found this useful. Next week, we will be looking at business plans because, like the saying says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I think people are put off sometimes with business plans because they used to be 30 pages long. We have created a very, very short one-page document that gives you just the main points that you need for your business plan. And I always recommend doing a business plan because it is literally a roadmap. And sometimes if you want to go off on a tangent and you get lost in this whole entrepreneurial world, it will bring you back. It will help you to remember what your purpose is, why you started doing what you're doing, and what your end goal looks like. So next week, we're covering business plans. I hope you'll be here with us. And that's really it for today's video. So thank you so much for joining. No more questions in the chat box. I'm going to close this now. But thank you so much for joining. If you do have any questions, you know where to find us. We're on Facebook. High Heels and Hustle is our Facebook page. We're on Instagram at highheels_and_hustle. And of course, we are right here on YouTube as well. So thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Have an amazing week this week. And I really hope that you did the task that we sent you last week. It was very simple. To take 2 steps towards making your goals and dreams a reality. And I really hope that you did those. I'm not going to ask you to put it in the chat box, but if you didn't, please just, take these things. We're giving you these things because we want you to take those first steps to making your goals and dreams a reality. And so this week, we're doing the same thing. You've taken 2 steps last week. We want you to take another 2 steps this week. Oh, Natasha, thank you. You did it. Would you mind telling us what you did? You don't have to. But would you mind just telling us maybe just one of the things that you did? And the only reason I'm saying that is because, sometimes maybe somebody else might just feel like, well, I don't know what 2 steps looks like, but seeing somebody else taking a step might encourage them to actually think, okay, maybe it's not as difficult as I thought, and they can do that. But if you don't want to share, it's absolutely fine. But for this week's task, we're going to set you the same thing. Take another 2 steps towards making your goals and dreams a reality. We're not going to set the same tasks every week. So next week, it will be something else. But I just want you to get into the thinking that, okay, it's that saying, isn't it? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And sometimes when we look at starting a business, it can seem so huge. We don't know where to start. One bite at a time. So we're doing these tasks just to get you to see that even if you just take a couple of steps every week, you're still making progress. You're still stepping out and creating your business. So Natasha, set up a website domain. That's amazing. Congratulations. So you set up a website domain and created a new range in your line. Wow. In 1 week. So these are the types of things that I'm talking about. Buying your website domain, that's something that you can do that's a step towards making your goals and dreams a reality. And I'll share a very quick story with mine. When I set up my wedding and events business, I knew the name that I wanted for my product, and I checked if the domain was available, and it was, and I thought, fantastic. And I set about creating my product designs and all of that. And when I went back to buy my domain name, somebody had already bought it, but they only bought it to sell it back. So what I could have paid £10 for was now being sold to me for thousands of dollars. Absolutely ridiculous. So I always recommend that people buy their domain name as soon as possible. You don't need your website to be set up right now, but if you know what your business name is going to be, secure your domain as soon as possible. So that could be one of the steps that you take this week. Natasha said that she's created a new range in her line. Maybe you're not quite there yet, but maybe you could just start thinking about the first range in your line. So this week, they are your tasks. Take another 2 steps towards making your goals and dreams a reality. And I hope that this becomes a part of you every week. You won't need me to say, take 2 steps, but it will become a part of you. So on a Sunday evening, even if I'm not here live, because after June, I'm not sure we'll be doing this every week, But even if I'm not here telling you what to do, if it becomes a habit, you will sit down on a Sunday evening and say, right, this week I'm taking 2 steps. This week I'm taking 5 steps, 1 step a day, whatever it is. But I just want you to get into that system of taking steps towards making your goals and dreams a reality. So thank you so much. Congratulations, Natasha. That sounds very exciting. Please do keep us updated on your journey. And for anyone else that's watching us, we'd love to follow your journey and just watch you go from where you are now to fulfilling your goals and dreams, because that's what it's all about. High Heels and Hustle, the place where we grow our businesses and change our lives. That's our motto. So thank you so much for joining us. We honestly wouldn't be doing any of this without you. You are amazing ladies, and we are looking forward to continuing on this journey with you. So we'll see you next Sunday, back here, 7 p.m, talking about your business plan. And in the meantime, find us on Facebook and Instagram, and we would love to catch up with you. Take care, have an amazing week, and remember to do your 2 steps this week. Take care. Bye.